Now let's take a look at Hino's 2010 EPA compliant emission system. Like most other manufacturers, Hino has chosen SCR, or Selective Catalytic Reduction, for their emission systems for 2010 EPA compliance. Other than International, pretty much all the manufacturers have decided to go with SCR because it's a proven technology and we know that it works. If you take a look at the system, back in 2007 emissions, one of the big things that the EPA wanted to do was get rid of particulate matter, or soot. Our new system not only reduces the amount of soot greatly, like our previous system, but it also targets NOx, or oxides of nitrogen, and tries to get rid of a variety of other pollutions as well. Now, what we'll do is we'll start off talking a little bit about what the system was prior, and then talk about some of the new components that they've added onto the system for the 2010 EPA emissions on our 2011 trucks. First of all, on our previous trucks, we had the DPR, or Diesel Particulate Reduction Filter. That filter collected the soot, or particulate matter, and occasionally it would do an automatic regeneration to burn off that soot. Previously, we adopted a type of post-injection for the fuel system, which would inject a little bit of fuel through the exhaust stream to help burn off that soot. Now, new for 2011 on our trucks, we have a new burner system. It actually burns off the soot via an igniter system. There's a small fuel filter at the back of the cab that needs to be changed every 2 years, that's specifically for the burner system, but other than that, there's really not much maintenance required, other than the fact that every 200,000 miles, the customer has to bring their truck in to get the DPR checked out to make sure that there's not an accumulation of ash. If there is an accumulation of ash, they can either clean out the filter or swap it out with a remanufactured unit. But most of the time, at 200,000 miles, we're sending our customers on their way, telling them to come back in another 200,000 miles to get it checked out again. Now, to the DPR, or Diesel Particulate Reduction Filter system, we've added some new componentry, and that's basically the SCR, or Selective Catalytic Reduction System, for the 2010 emissions. The SCR, the main goal is to eliminate oxides of nitrogen, and we do that by injecting a type of fluid called DEF, or diesel exhaust fluid. This small tank here is a 4.7 gallon tank, and that's where the DEF is housed. Now, after the exhaust emissions go through the DPR and the diesel oxidation catalyst, that's when the DEF, or diesel exhaust fluid, is injected midstream into the exhaust. What happens is the DEF fluid is 32.5% automotive grade urea mixed with water. That basically, when injected into the exhaust stream, is going to mix with the oxides of nitrogen and break down those harmful chemicals into non-harmful chemicals like nitrogen, water vapor, and a small amount of carbon dioxide. Now, the DEF is injected out of this tank into the exhaust stream, and basically it makes that chemical catalyst to break up those harmful chemicals, turn them into non-harmful chemicals, and typically there would be a small amount of ammonia gas that might be able to escape the system and get out through the exhaust, but what we've added is a secondary diesel oxidation catalyst for what they call NH3 slip, or ammonia gas slip, which takes those chemicals and again catalyzes them so that they don't come out the exhaust system. Now, very important when we're talking about the DEF, or diesel exhaust fluid, there is some maintenance required with this system. First of all, we have to make sure that the tank is full. Not only is there a gauge on the tank itself, but there's also another gauge on the new instrument panel. Both of those are going to give you an indication of where the DEF fluid is. Now, we have to make sure that that fluid is filled at all times, because when it starts to get low, we'll get a warning indicator on the dashboard. When the warning indicator comes on the dashboard, you need to fill your fluid. If you ignore that light, first of all, you'll get a light that comes on the dashboard, and you'll also get an audible warning that says low DEF fluid. At that point, you need to fill the fluid. If you don't and you continue to drive, every 10 minutes you'll get a warning telling you to fill your DEF fluid. If the DEF tank is less than 5% full, the truck will derate to 75% of the engine's maximum torque. If the driver continues to drive, even beyond that 5%, and the tank gets down to 2.5%, what will happen at that point is once the engine is shut off, the truck will derate to 5 miles per hour. So again, it's critical that we keep those tanks full. The good thing is a full DEF tank will last us anywhere between 4,000 and 9,000 miles on average, depending on what type of service the truck is doing. So it's not as if we have to fill up the DEF tank with every diesel fuel fill up. A couple of things to point out about the DEF tank. First of all, it's a composite or plastic tank. That's important because although DEF fluid is not flammable, it can be slightly corrosive to components like aluminum over time. So we used a composite tank. This tank has been tested in cold weather testing down to about 30 degrees below zero, not only for impact resistance, but also for expansion. So if we do get into those areas where freezing is a concern, we don't have to worry about the tank rupturing due to expansion. There's also a couple of other things they've done for cold weather regions. If you look in the back of the tank, there's actually an antifreeze line that goes into the tank, around the bottom, and back out the other side. So when we get into temperatures below 12 degrees, where the DEF fluid typically would start to become slushy, that antifreeze line is going to make sure that that fluid stays at a fluid level and defrosts it so that we don't have any concerns with the flow of the DEF fluid. In addition to that, below 0 degrees, the fluid can actually freeze. And what we've done is we've tested extensively in cold weather temperatures down below 30 degrees, and within 26 minutes of driving this truck, that fluid is heated up and the truck is ready to go, injecting DEF fluid into the SCR system to make sure we're providing clean emissions for all of our trucks. The EPA government standard is 70 minutes to make sure that the DEF system is operational, and in all of our testing we found about 26 minutes, even in those cold temperatures down to 30 below, our system is up and functioning. A couple other things to point out about the DEF or diesel exhaust fluid. First of all, it is an API or American Petroleum Institute regulated liquid. So the quality is going to be regulated, which is a good thing for Hino and everybody else. In terms of the quality of the fluid, if somebody accidentally pumps another type of fluid or puts water in the tank, there is a DEF quality monitor, and you will get a light on the instrument panel telling you that your DEF quality is poor. At that point, there's a small drain plug located underneath the tank here. You need to drain all the fluid out of the tank and fill it with fresh DEF fluid. So a lot of thought has gone into the SCR, or Selective Catalytic Reduction System, as well as the DEF fluid. It's been tested, and it's a great way of making sure that we've got the cleanest emissions out there in the industry.